Looney Tunes are back in action, and I don't mean that with a pun intended, even though I do enjoy Back in Action and the original Space Jam. I've been really much looking forward to Space Jam: A New Legacy, and I'm here to tell you why Space Jam: A New Legacy is a great return for the Looney Tunes, and I hope we don't have to wait, 10, 15 years for the next Looney Tunes movie, because I need more right now. They were so good in this. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back to my brand new non-spoiler review for Space Jam: A New Legacy. Now, of course, if you guys are new here and you guys enjoy talking movies on a daily basis, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so we can keep talking movies every day over here, as well as comment down below and let me know your guys' thoughts. Are you guys fans of the Looney Tunes? Who's your favorite character? And as well, do you like the original film and did you enjoy this one? Space Jam: A New Legacy picks up many years after the original, and now a rogue artificial intelligence kidnaps the son of famed basketball player LeBron James, who then has to work with Bugs Bunny to win a basketball game. This is once, of course, directed by Malcolm D. Lee, and it once again stars the likes of LeBron James and the Looney Tunes. Now, just flat out honesty, here, I'm not the biggest fan of LeBron James. I liked him in Trainwreck as a basketball player. I think he's, yes, he's a good basketball player, but there are certain things with him that I'm not the biggest fan of, and also I just don't play a lot of basketball anymore or watch a lot of basketball. I do at times. When I was a kid, I was a major fan of basketball. But the thing that I've always gone back to in my life is the Looney Tunes. And that is the one thing that I can really much say my biggest pro being is the Looney Tunes. They are actually loony in here. And there's certain quirks, jokes, and even gags that they go throughout this film all work. I didn't think any of them fell flat whatsoever. Even some of the more modern stuff I was actually quite surprised by, because there is something kind of going about in one of the new trailers where Porky Pig is kind of rapping, and when I saw the clip I was like, ugh, that's a little bit cringy. In the form of this, it actually worked in the context, and I actually really much enjoyed that. And again, the rest of the Looney Tunes work. Bugs, Lola, Daffy has some small little jokes in here, and again, it's all background detail as well. There's small things that the Tunes do that if you pay attention to, you're gonna be like, that is a really clever joke. There's something that Sylvester does towards the end of the film that really has a nice payoff to what Daffy ends up saying, and I really dug that. And again, that is why I love the Looney Tunes. It's their interactions, it's the jokes in between them all that fun nostalgicness that you really much miss with these characters, because again, we've gotten iterations of cartoons and stuff in TV and even on streaming, but we have really much missed them on the big screen, and every time they come back in full force. I actually think that a majority of the Looney Tunes characters that do show up in here all have some big gag or big moment that does let the audience laugh. And in fact, my entire audience, this screening was packed to the brim, and everyone in there was laughing at every single joke, especially the kids. If I was at least 10 years old when this film came out, I would have flipped out. I would have been like, this is one of my favorite films of all time, just like I did with the original Space Jam, which again, doesn't hold up in all of its categories, but still works for me, and I think this one also does the same. In fact, talking about my crowd, when the film ended, my whole entire crowd roared into a big standing ovation applaud. I've not heard that in a while when going to a screening, so it was kind of nice, and I think a lot of families are going to absolutely enjoy this one. Speaking of families, that is a big message in here. Whether it's LeBron James's family that he's trying to hold niche, and really much you kind of see the parallels between him and his son and what the differences are there, and I think there's a nice message weaved throughout there that a lot of parents are going to need to know, but there's also a nice message and theme of family throughout the Looney Tunes as well, and that parallel really works, and everything, like I mentioned with the Looney Tunes, is fantastic. Even talking a little bit more about the Looney Tunes, let's talk about the animation, because a lot of the trailers show this 3D CGI hybrid of them, and honestly, a majority of the film is actually them in 2D animation, which was a great surprise for me, because that's still my favorite iteration of them. I'm not a big fan of the 3D CGI hybrid, which honestly, even though it did work in here, I would have preferred to see them throughout the whole film in 2D. It's a visual feast because each and every time you see these characters, it works flawlessly, and the CGI really much works in all of its categories, and I really dug the entire basketball game as well. When these characters are going loony and they're playing, it is so much fun to see them play, and in fact, the basketball game is really much the entire third act, and I was quite surprised. The original movie, it's only a couple minutes. In this one, it feels like a full Force game of basketball, and you see each quarter and it really plays out in a nice way. And I just got a big smile on my face every time the Looney Tunes popped up or did something, or another character popped into this world where it was like a great throwback. I just sat there in awe. And I know a big thing a lot of people have been seeing in the trailers is kind of this Ready Player One-ish. We see all these different characters from all the different Warner Brothers worlds, and yes, we do go into certain one of them. I'm gonna stay away from spoilers in there in case you haven't seen a lot of the trailers, but the ones that we do go into, I would have liked more of, because I think those little segments were fun, and I thought they were such a blast, and I was like, damn, I want more of this. There's one between Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner that I was losing my mind over, and I absolutely loved it. The film just puts a giant smile on your face. I smiled, I laughed, and for me, when it comes down to a Looney Tunes film, that's exactly what I'm meaning and needing. And of course, I've spoken a lot about the Looney Tunes. Let's talk about the main star in here, LeBron James, who, for me, I kind of already mentioned. I'm not the biggest fan of him. I did like him in Trainwreck. I appreciate what he's done for the game of basketball. Everyone's going to have their own opinion on LeBron James, but solely just talking about the acting in here, I didn't think it worked completely. Not saying Michael Jordan was great in the original Space Jam, but I did feel like the LeBron James it felt fake or forced in certain instances within here, which did drag down some of the emotional and heavier moments in here. And I just sat there going, I don't know if you needed to do another basketball game for this story. I understand why they did it, but I feel like there were different avenues for how you could have told this story per se, and still very much focused on the Looney Tunes. In the way that the story actually plays out, again, and it's hard to talk about without getting into spoilers, and I don't want to spoil anything because a lot of you guys might be really excited for this film. But there are certain instances in here where I was sitting there, I was like, if you would have twisted this, changed that just a bit, I think it would have worked a little bit better, bringing LeBron James into this world, but still centering and focusing it on the Looney Tunes itself. Because in reality, the original Space Jam film, the Looney Tunes were needing Michael Jordan to come play because they were needing a basketball expert. In this context of the story, LeBron James is more needing the Tunes and everyone else, and then there's some motivation between the Tunes as well. I just would have liked that story to have been twisted just a bit and adjusted in just certain instances, and I think it would have made the story a little bit more fleshed out, because really much, the Tunes are not the main character in here. It is LeBron James, and again, a lot of his acting feels a little bit forced. There's some nice jabs and jokes at him, but even my girlfriend realized that they do mention that he's the greatest, he's the GOAT. And again, depending on what your opinion is on him, you might roll your eyes each and every time they say that. It's fine to mention it like once or twice, but when you mention it like multiple times, you might as well start a drinking game and get yourself drunk, because you'll do it by the end of the movie. And let me give where credit's due. Don Cheadle was having a blast in here. I think he is a really fun villain, and as well, Cedric Joe, who plays the son of LeBron James, he was decent as well. Personally, for me, the strongest actress in here was Sonique Martin Green, who plays his wife, and I'm like, you should have put her more in this movie. She's always been an excellent actress. Even with my issues, I feel like Space Jam: A New Legacy is a slam dunk of a time. Yes, it's not a perfect movie. Neither is the original, but what it did was it brought the Looney Tunes back in action, and that was what I was really needing to. You didn't disgrace these characters, you very much showed who they are, and while I would have appreciated them being more of the more central character of this entire thing, I think there's a possibility that maybe in the future we get a sequel of some sorts, or in general just another introduction with these characters, because I miss them, and I do want more live action cartoon mixes, stuff like this, whether it is like this movie exactly, or in the sense of a Roger Rabbit. I miss these type of movies, and just having them back in my life brought back some nostalgic feelings for me. Yes, I love the original Space Jam. Yes, I adore Looney Tunes back in action, and I just in general love the Looney Tunes. Please don't make this the last thing of them. Again, wasn't the biggest fan of LeBron James's performance in here, but overall, I thought this was such a fun time, and I think you will as well. With all my issues, Space Jam: A New Legacy is a ton of fun, and I think a lot of you guys, especially if you have kids, you are absolutely going to have a blast with this in theaters. With all that said, I'm going to give Space Jam: A New Legacy a B. Once again, guys, for clicking on this, you guys are seriously all the best. I cannot wait to hear your guys' thoughts on this one down below in the comment section, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. As well, if you want to see movies early like I do, make sure to head on over to Sandwich on Films. We gave away tickets for Space Jam: A New Legacy. We'll definitely be giving away more in the future, and you will not want to miss out on that. Of course, there's a big thank you to you and a big thank you to my Patreon supporters, because without you, I would not be able to do this. So once again, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and of course, until next time, stay classy.